S5 Vampire. The Vampire has been so widely used during hit-and-run raids that it has become known throughout the Navy as the Fat Boy. In comparison with the Navy's equivalent recon craft, the Vampire is lacking in certain of its specifications. It is noticeably slower and less maneuverable. However, its operational range makes it an effective weapon against military supply convoys and trade craft. It is well known as the so-called flying body blow, mentioned in several traditional narrative pilots' songs. Developed secretly by League loyalists employed in a Navy arms establishment on Selene, the Vampire is due to be updated and replaced by the Bloodletter. However, current circumstances make the introduction of the advanced craft unlikely for some time. S4 Dark Angel. The Dark Angel was named by the civilian observers who first saw the S4 interceptor in action. As a Navy bomber squadron attempted to obliterate a food production facility within Diomedes, those witnessing the devastation suddenly saw the dark shape of approaching vengeance emerge from the distant field of stars. As it grew, it took on the form of an angel, an avenging angel, a Dark Angel. Those first Dark Angel's interceptors wiped out the enemy bombers, and a legend was born. The craft's design is now regarded as outdated, although its symbolic value is still of immense importance. It remains the primary craft of the League of Free Worlds. S9 Hydra. Originally developed as a small-scale scout craft known as Medusa, continual upgrades and modifications resulted in the fearsome assault craft now known as the Hydra. Of all the League's airborne military craft, it is the Hydra which is most frequently used to engage enemy units and render them harmless. It was initially employed in its current form during the famous plantation scandal of the Uprising's late phase, during which Navy craft attempted to wipe out vast tracts of fertile land. The Hydra successfully stopped the attacks and was subsequently used in a number of offensive activities before entering mass production in a number of classified locations. S7 Chimera. Developed by a League loyalist known only as Regis during the mid-phase of the Uprising, the Chimera has proved itself time and again to be one of the League's greatest military craft. Little is known about Regis other than that he was awarded the Flower of Honor by the Father himself. He was then thought to be in such danger of naval retribution that his identity was changed and he vanished. The Chimera is a heavy bomber responsible for destroying large numbers of Navy fleet craft. This is vital, as current statistics show enemy fleet craft outnumbering the League's own by at least 5-1. The craft is able to operate over long distances, delivering a heavy payload with extreme precision. S11 Demon. A maneuverable and powerful heavy support craft, the Demon was developed in underground bunkers created secretly by members of Gallinaya's anti-Empire resistance. These bunkers were used as basic research bays and staffed by intellectuals previously employed in Empire educational establishments. Having joined an informal resistance grouping known as the Way of Hope, they pooled their accumulated knowledge and designed a number of small vehicles which could be used during anti-Empire activities. The Demon was the only project which was later improved upon by the League's more formal Airborne Development Division. However, so effective has it since proved, the Way of Hope is still fondly remembered and honored on League ceremonial days. S-21 Eclipse. The corruption of enemy scanning signals has been part of the League's scientific research program for many years. However, its findings have rarely been of direct use to aircraft development teams due to cost and resource limitations. In the Eclipse, we have a startling advanced craft which has benefited greatly from one particular project championed by the Investigative Forum for Radar Adjustment. The Eclipse stealth craft manipulates enemy sensor signals so as to appear invisible on radar. In fact, 20 such vessels were able to infiltrate and destroy a vast naval recreation compound during the 278th day of the Tsar festivities. The bloodshed and devastation was such that the Tsar himself is thought to have carried out the execution of 49 Navy intelligence gathering divisions held responsible for the League's success. The Eclipse is subject to information withdrawal procedures. Further details are withheld. T9 Tornado. The Tornado is the fastest fighter-class craft in the Colonial Navy. Its speed derives from a Skywind Central Evasion Unit built in the Bassect Research Compound on Shalina. This unit includes a self-lubricating insert derived from the compound Cortidext. Certain questions have been raised about the Tornado's suitability for close combat, as engineers have never been able to construct anything more than basic protective systems without compromising its speed. However, during the notorious Reaper raids of the later expansionary phase, a single tornado pursued and destroyed an entire pack of heavy-duty constructors carrying impact lasers. This act ensured a place for the Tornado in all future Navy campaigns. T-45 Thunderchild. Most commonly encountered performing escort duties and area defense sorties for the Colonial Navy, the Thunderchild was developed by Core Revolution Industria during mid-phase colonization. The original model was called the Infant. It was involved in several small-scale industrial revolts on inner system planets and came to be regarded as an indispensable part of the colonial expansion force. With the addition of a Dreamer propulsion system upgrade, it was renamed and added to most of the Navy's first encounter battalions. T-29 Stormlord. When Lieutenant Rigster Johning unveiled the original Stormlord at a gathering on one of the hidden inner moons, he inadvertently signed his own death warrant. As project leader, he had approved the use of a self-reversing device in the ship's detonation guard. This flaw was revealed during the subsequent demonstration in which the ship exploded, killing 3 command staff. The lieutenant was executed just minutes later. The ship's system blueprint was later modified by engineers on Janus, resulting in the current heavily guarded model. With heavy shields and a reinforced hull, the Stormlord is used to disable and destroy enemy fleet craft. It has been used widely in active service, although, due to the events at its initial unveiling, it is still treated with suspicion by longer-serving members of the Colonial Navy. T-5 Avalanche. Decrypted data sources reveal that more avalanches are produced in one Imperial arms factory during a year than have been destroyed by League forces during the entire uprising. Whether these figures have been subject to modification or not, It remains clear that this well-armed and protected strike craft is one of the Navy's favored attack weapons. First encountered during a small-scale food rebellion, the Avalanche destroyed entire communities in a matter of minutes. It has since been used many thousands of times, giving it near-legendary status within the Navy. Indeed, many of the Navy's inner command began as Avalanche pilots during the uprising's mid-phase. T57 Blizzard. Following the official removal of all the Navy's active snowstorm support craft, after self-detonation scares across a number of sensitive armed units, the development of the Blizzard was rushed through on the orders of the Inner Command. It is a basic heavy frontline fighter, powered by a Nevermind propulsion box and a Petrotech fuel cleansing unit. It is most widely encountered, providing support to other frontline craft in confrontations where extensive firepower is required. T21 Spectre. Most attempts to obtain data regarding the origin of the Spectre have resulted in blanket crashes and the triggering of anti-insurgency routines. However, a defecting flight craft technician previously employed on numerous projects within the Draco system has revealed a number of this remarkable craft's features. Chameleon stealth blending technology is used to project a holographic field around the craft, allowing it to take on the appearance of any other fighter vessel. Specialist circuitry then deceives leak sensors into believing that what they read is what the human eye sees, a different craft. The effect of this is to make effective strategic planning almost impossible, since the true nature of the Navy force can never be fully ascertained. Attempts to engineer sensors which can detect the use of this technology have so far proved fruitless. T1 Typhoon. Initial encounters with the Typhoon resulted in League navigational computers closing down spontaneously. This was due to the contradictory nature of the information they were reading. This craft has only been seen within the current phase of the uprising. In fact, current models are thought to be prototypes, as no records of its mass production have been traced. Wing-mounted rotating thrust engines, developed by Toriton Confederate Industries, enable precise, complex maneuvers to be performed. No other craft currently in service can approach the maneuverability of the Typhoon, making it a highly effective and deadly fighter. Frigate. The smallest class of battleship, the frigate is widely used by both Navy and League. The frigate was originally used as a means of policing and suppressing civilian populations during mid-phase expansion. It was later adapted for military use and equipped with as much weaponry as its design allowed. However, despite its impressive speed, it is still regarded as lacking in firepower. Cruiser. The original cruiser models were adapted from the early frigates used by colonial population control divisions throughout the inner systems. Heavier protection was required once civilian zones began to engage in violent insurgency activities, and the first cruisers were used in anger during the 4091 Sky City riots on Jupiter. Its design has since proved highly effective in skirmish battles. The League's equivalent vessel is also regarded as a well-established and indispensable fleet craft. Destroyer. Although the number of destroyers in the Navy's fleet is unknown, and the number used by the League as classified information, it is acknowledged by both sides that more destroyers exist than any other fleet craft. However, it was not always so popular. Of the 5 original prototype models supplied to the Navy by Devasta Inc., 2 were found to be highly dangerous due to flawed cabling. One was occupied and later ransacked during a freak outbreak of face scab madness. One was sabotaged by a group of dissatisfied Marines, while the last one fell from the sky during active service, wiping out a field of children. The directors of Devasta Inc. were hounded to their graves by public officials, while the manufacturer of the destroyer was handed over to the GDX group. It is their model which is now used by the Navy, and whose inner circuitry supplied the basis of the League's design. Dreadnought. Following the success of their highly effective destroyer, the GDX group, based on an artificial moon in the Sol system, were allowed to submit proposals for a heavily defended, offensive vessel capable of engaging several smaller battleships. Early efforts included the doomed Panic Day automated attack craft, which was found to suffer from defective circuitry. During the second phase, however, GDX drew up plans for what they referred to as the Fearless Friend, a devastating and strong war craft. Following refinement, the craft was renamed the Dreadnought, and was to become one of the most powerful weapons in space warfare. The League would like to be able to manufacture more Dreadnoughts than current capabilities allow. However, resource rationing remains strict, and thus the Force feels itself to be lacking in such heavy offensive weaponry. Strike Assault Craft. Cloak Facility will cloak the craft, allowing vessel to maneuver undetected. Command Craft. Both League and Navy command craft are responsible for governing and overseeing the movement of fleet sections. They are involved in the high-level strategic analysis and tactical planning of operations. Consequently, they carry elite officers, generals, and other skilled tacticians, along with comprehensive data processing technology. It is alleged that a number of Navy command craft are actually not command centers at all, but recreational retreats, where high-ranking officers are treated to expensive food, rare drinks, and exotic leisure experiences. The Tsar himself is thought to enjoy frequent visits to such craft, although the rank-and-file Navy crew members are unaware of these activities. It is certain that no such practices occur on League vessels, although security measures are no less stringent. Titan. The origins of the Titan are unknown. It is a recent addition to the Navy's fleet, and is regarded by Empire commanders as the weapon which will ultimately smash the League of Free Worlds uprising. Analysis of the Titan's alleged capabilities suggests that it may be capable of destroying entire worlds, although such speculation is yet to be confirmed. Super Titan. No information available. Cargo Transporter. The cargo transporter is one of the most basic craft used by the Empire, as it is not fast, it is not maneuverable, and it is vulnerable to attack. Its design has changed little since the early transport runs between Earth and the inner planets. The cargo pod is simply carried in the craft's underbelly and is attached by 2 electromagnetic clamps. Civilian Transporter. When the Sol system wormhole was breached for the first time in 4175, it was a civilian transporter which made that initial journey into the unknown. Although it is possible that the original transporter failed in this mission, there is no doubt that a transporter eventually breached the hull successfully, thereby establishing the first colony beyond Sol itself. Despite the legendary status bestowed upon it by Empire historians, the transporter is now a rather mundane means of transferring civilians between planets and industrial installations. Tanker. While the tanker may appear to be simply another functional addition to the Empire's industrial infrastructure, it is widely credited with creating the modern Empire, as it ultimately supplies Earth with the resources required for survival. These resources are stripped from the colonies for the purpose of supporting either the Earth itself or the machinery set up by the Empire to administer this process. All opposition to Empire rule essentially derives from an opposition to these specific acts of theft. The tanker, therefore, has become a potent symbol of the colony's oppression. Warsphere Battle Platform. Mdenka Corp was founded in 4122 as a small-scale research cooperative specializing in the development of cattle transport systems. Within 20 years, it had conceived and planned the single most revolutionary invention of the expansionary era, namely jump engine technology. The aim of jump engine technology was to reduce the time taken traveling large distances in space. Its effect was to open up the universe to merciless exploitation by Earth. All jump engines work in a similar way, regardless of their size. By projecting an energy tear into the space surrounding the controlling ship, the engine is able to create a jump gate through the tear to a pre-calculated exit point. Unfortunately, the accuracy of this calculation is dependent on the length of the tunnel. For safety reasons, the maximum range of any untethered tunnel is estimated to be 1 million kilometers. This allows for an error of up to 1.5 kilometers around the predicted exit point. Interstellar jumps require a tethering system to be in place before jumping can occur. In these instances, the tear is governed by a controlling vessel located at both the entry and exit points. Such tethered jump gates are known colloquially as warp holes. The X-27 warp hole engine is the latest incarnation of this technology. The model occupies the vast majority of the mass at the center of the Warsphere battle platform. These platforms, located at either end of a tear, are able to sustain a warp hole between two systems, long enough for many ships to pass. However, the huge power reserves required mean that warp hole opening is strictly controlled. Battle platforms can now be found throughout the occupied universe, as they are essential for warp hole communication between solar systems. Each system, requiring a link to another, must first install a suitable battle platform. One platform is required for each tunnel to each individual system. Despite vast funds and centuries of research, miniaturization of the jump engine has not progressed sufficiently to create an engine capable of being fitted to a fighter-class ship. However, small jump engines can be fitted to the majority of fleet craft. These are now regarded as a standard fitting for all fleet craft making interplanetary journeys. Any authorized ship may enter the jump gate, including the ship that created it. The traveling ship is then sucked through to the destination point. In order to prevent unauthorized travel through open gates, a ship-encoded security signal is required before a ship can travel through. If the traveling ship's signal does not match that required by the gate entry, the gate will implode, causing massive damage to the unauthorized ship. The amount of energy required to open a jump gate is exponentially proportional to the size of the traveling ship, and proportional to the distance to the target area. It is also affected by the length of time the gate is required to remain open. Consequently, due to current war resource rationing, it is impractical to open gates for general travel. Small ship jumping is only permitted where an immediate response or rescue is required. Large ship jumping is only authorized in emergency situations. Any unauthorized or unjustifiable jumps will result in pilot court-martial. Starport. Following a series of scandals during the mid-phase of the uprising, in which Starport populations starved to death due to the maladministration of available resources, most starports now have limited powers of self-government. Operating under the ultimate control of a chief counselor appointed by the Empire's inner command, they are allowed to administer the distribution of resources among the resident population and share in the profits of the commercial and industrial facilities based there. Some starport populations are currently campaigning for planet status, although this is unlikely to be granted. Spaceport. Most spaceports operate under the jurisdiction of the colonial police, who issue trading licenses and govern all off-world commercial concerns. The spaceport is regarded as the natural focus for commercial activity, although the police's behavior is erratic and frequently vindictive, even towards companies known to be fully loyal to the Empire. Given that spaceports house vast quantities of goods removed from colonial regions, violent anti-Empire guerrilla acts are not uncommon. Space Station. Although many of the original space stations are now suffering from serious material fatigue, the installation of new space stations continues to similar specifications. Primarily used as short-stay refueling points, several have become makeshift residential zones close to planets with severe overcrowding problems. Escape capsules. All currently operational craft are fitted with standard E-15 escape pods. These are constructed from a polymorphic base shell developed by Q-Start Magnetic during early phase expansion. The material is a byproduct of the industrial cleansing process. The escape pods installed in fighter craft are connected by a magna-repellent circuitry. This enables them to be auto-jettisoned from an exploding craft. Those pods installed in larger vessels form part of the established emergency evacuation procedure. They must be occupied by personnel, and launch must be triggered prior to the destruction of the host ship. Thanks to developments in encasement compression technology, current models are fitted with limited shielding. This can prevent the aftershock damage usually associated with large explosions. Warsphere Battle Platform. Mdenka Corp was founded in Arms Orbital. Information detailing the workings of the Empire's many arms orbitals is scarce. However, it is known that they are responsible for manufacturing much of the Empire's military hardware, and that they are completely automated. It has been suggested that they are in fact dummy installations, created to enhance impressions of the Empire's military capability. Unfortunately, recent evidence obtained by remotely operated scanners able to infiltrate a free-floating orbital confirms that this is not the case. Mining Station. During the early phase of the expansionary era, Empire scientists submitted plans for the extraction of mineral deposits from asteroids. A number of corporations were commissioned to devise viable means of putting these plans into practice. The successful scheme was proposed by the Sol-based Emigre Inc. They were able to build their mining station directly onto the asteroid surface and use tractor beam technology to extract the required compounds. Mining installations are usually concentrated within dense asteroid fields, although there are a number of individual platforms situated in more isolated zones. These are established when the potential ore extraction levels are considered to be sufficiently high. Arms Orbital. Information detailing the carrier. The original carriers were large, unpowered vessels capable of being towed by small, powerful craft. They were used to transport manpower to the early colonies. As the Empire expanded and vessels were required to travel much greater distances, self-contained carriers were introduced. They have changed little since then, although the flight technology has improved markedly. Carriers are now used to supply support to the battleships that are only able to house a limited number of fighters. However, these are not powerful craft and remain vulnerable if required to engage other fleet craft on their own. Frigate.